Hi, I'm Nathan from Serious Geeks, and this video is going to be detailing some of the weapon changes that have been released in leaks for Warhammer 40,000 Space Marines in 9th edition. I have detailed some of the changes previously, usually when I've done a datasheet review of some of the leaks, such as Terminators or Vanguard Veterans. However, there's quite a few coming through now, so I will show some on the screen, but this is going to focus predominantly on the weapons, rather than discuss the actual data sheets themselves, although obviously I will talk about the tactical and strategic application of such weapon changes, as that is part and parcel of the actual changes themselves. Starting with close combat weapons, we can see that power fists and multiple data sheets are changing to be damage 2. This we can take is not going to be a misprint, but is actually going to be practically confirmed, simply because it's not going to be misprinted over that wider range of different units and different data sheets. In comparison, Terminators have confirmed that chain fists will change to D3 damage. Now, you could say that that is a misprint. However, if you compare it like for like or like for similar, the chain fist on an Ironclad is 2d3 damage. So this seems to be kind of like the consistent element of the type of weapon that it is. So the chain fist on a larger model, on a larger beast, is going to do a variable amount of damage at 2d3. On the smaller models, which Terminators are always represented as tactical dreadnought armor, so it's there as a representation of weapons to go on dreadnoughts. So you can kind of get the comparison that they're going to be d3 damage, and that's kind of confirmed. Thunderhammers appear to be going to damage 4, which is very powerful. Each individual Thunderhammer is going to be powerful, and when you consider that Terminator assault squads can have all Thunderhammers and Storm Shield, we're looking at a potential of a lot of attacks that are going to be hitting and damaging units at damage 4, which is going to annihilate vehicles. This could be the new hard target eliminator for Space Marines. We already know that power swords and mastercrafted power swords are going to +1 strength, which is very reminiscent of 2nd edition, where power swords had a base strength of 5 and an AP or modifier in those days of -3, which pretty much is represented in a Space Marines version of the weapon. But we also have now power axes, which we were often worried what were they going to be when power swords were already taking up their limelight of +1 strength. Well, it seems to be from the Vanguard box set that they are confirmed to be +2 strength. This has its applications, but it depends on who you're fighting. If you're fighting a lot of Space Marines, hitting and wounding them on a 3+, is going to be pretty much the same using a power sword or a power axe, except the power sword will cut through their armour. However, if you fight a lot of bikers or grotesques or other toughness 5 beasties, fairly certain that any Tyranid army is going to have a boost to their Tyranid warriors at some point, and they will probably have toughness 5 at that point in time as well. So, you know, there are going to be units out there that are going to be toughness 5, where a power axe will come in handy. But at the moment, against Space Marines or weaker, it depends really. I don't really think it's going to be the case. Of course, wounding models on a 2+ is nice. So if you're going to use this against toughness 3 models, you may find another utility there. So it depends on what your opponents are and what you kind of want in your army and in your squads as a bit of utility. Is this a cheap, poor man's power fist in that regard? Against Orcs and Space Marines, not so good. Against other armies, could be very powerful. Right, a quick note on the Incursor datasheet. It does appear that the Incursor datasheet has a -1 to the AP of their blades, which is a heavy implication that we will see the same on Reavers, which would be pretty much changing them completely because they're not very well thought of at the moment. So watch this space. I'm sure that we will see something confirmed sooner or later on the Reavers. However, we don't know for definite, but we could probably extrapolate that they are going to get a boost. So what do most of these changes make for Space Marine infantry? Well, there's a lot to choose from here. A lot of these weapons are going to be very powerful against the right targets, and they're going to be left behind by a more average weapon that isn't as powerful against those targets when fighting certain other ones. So as an example, a power sword is great if you don't know your opponents. It gives you a good performance across the board against most targets. However, it isn't very optimized. a power axe is going to give you much better performance against toughness 6, toughness 5, toughness 3 and below, just in case you go down that way. So it depends on who you're up against, what utility you want. It depends if you know. And it also depends what access you've got to these weapons. Remember, classic Firstborn Marines can have a lot of different utility within their units to choose different weapons. Some of the more newer units from the Primaris range don't get that option. So again, you're going to have to just bear in mind what you're building, whether you want to take these sort of close combat weapons. The Power Fist changes I actually quite like. I quite enjoy my Power Fists, and having them more reliable and doing 2 damage a piece means that if you're fighting something that has a Power Fist, you pretty much know that it's going to be hitting you hard and causing an extremely good amount of damage to you. There's nothing more frustrating than having, say, 2 wounding hits through from a Power Fist model of some sort, whatever model we're talking about. You roll a 2d3 and you roll a 1 and a 2, which results in just a piddly little 2 damage. Whereas now, you know you can kill 2 Marines easily with that. This is going to go a long way to making units like Aggressors and Terminators much more effective in close combat, and therefore much more viable. And because 8th edition was a little bit more shooting oriented, and 9th edition has obscuring terrain and these units that are going to be very effective in close combat, it will potentially change how we build our armies, and also how we deal with opponents' armies. So yeah, I'm very happy with those changes, and it'll be interesting to see how they are going to really change the meta throughout the whole game. Chain Fists going to D3 damage would actually, to me, in my mind, make them actually not that effective. I still think they're going to be powerful, but I kind of like the idea of doing a guaranteed 2 damage. It's not as guaranteed, but you do have a bit of swing, so when you roll well, you can do a lot of damage. And that can actually sometimes help you because it gives you a bit of a threat radius, and it means with a bit of luck you can kill that model that had, say, 6 wounds at the end and you've only scored 2 wounding hits. Of course, it could go the other way and you could really struggle to do any damage. So I wouldn't load up on a lot of these weapons, but they might be useful in a bit of utility, 1 or 2 in a Space Marine Terminator squad. Remember, they are AP -4, so you can cut through power armor rather handily. Out of the new weapons revealed, lastly, we have the Thunderhammer. As you know, this weapon is going to be brutal, and I mentioned it's going to be great on Terminators. But remember, Space Marines, I think just about every colour of Space Marine, has access to being able to mastercraft a weapon. So if you have a mastercrafted Thunderhammer on any sergeant, it's going to go up to damage 5, which is quite phenomenal when you consider all it is a sergeant. I would recommend putting this on either a Terminator sergeant with a Thunderhammer or perhaps a Vanguard Marine, simply because you'll have more bang for your buck there. The Vanguard Marine will get into close combat more often, and you'll therefore be able to use it more often. The Terminator sergeant, he's tougher. He's got 3 wounds. He's essentially the equivalent of an Astra Militarum lesser character, which basically makes him a lot more survivable anyway, and it doesn't feel like a wasted relic slot. The larger close combat weapons on Dreadnoughts look to have some very interesting changes. The Chain Fist on the Ironclad was always thought of better than the actual Seismic Hammer, which is a kind of a shame because the whole concept of the Seismic Hammer is really brutal and it's great to see on the tabletop when you do see it. However, at -1 to hit, it was always a wonder why you would take that for 5 damage when you could have the lesser damage 4 Chain Fist, which never had any stock minuses to hit. Now, we don't know if the minuses are going to be there, but let's assume they are the same. If they are the same as what they were in the previous, you've got a difference in damage, which changes the way the weapon works anyway, and it will give people a genuine choice. As you can see, the Dreadnought Chain Fist does 2d3 damage. It's quite consistent. It's definitely going to squash models for at least 2 damage. It's a little bit swingy, but you will get an average of 4 damage, but you could go right up to 6 damage, which is very nice. Much better than D6. D6 damage is very swingy. It's just a single dice roll that could go anywhere between 1 and 6, whereas 2d3, much more consistent, and I think I quite like it. The Seismic Hammer is still damage 5, which is incredible. I mean, if you can get the hits on this, particularly if he's supported by a character, like a captain who might give him full rerolls if he's upgraded to a chapter master, you could potentially get 20 damage on a single vehicle in a single turn with this thing. it is very useful with all the attacks that an Ironclad can have. And a single hit that gets through at damage 5 will cause a mess of most vehicles anyway. It will just put things right into a different bracket unless it's a heavily armoured and larger vehicle such as a Land Raider, and even there you don't want a 16 wound vehicle to get one hit and go down to 11 wounds in one shot. And let's be honest, if you're hitting it once, you're probably going to hit it again. Both those weapons are quite consistent, and we can see this trend included in the Primaris Dreadnoughts, the Redemptor and the Invictor. Let's bear in mind that we don't know if the Redemptor is permanently going to be a Primaris Dreadnought. It currently at 8th edition doesn't have the Primaris keyword. However, it's often associated with Primaris simply because it was released at the same time. Now looking at the data sheets, both these power fists are going to a stock of damage 3, which if you've used basic Dreadnoughts or the Contemptor Dreadnought from the Warhammer 40,000 8th edition codex, you will know that damage 3 is very powerful and very effective. It's consistent. It squashes all types of models quite nicely, slightly larger infantry like Space Marines, basic infantry like Eldari and Orcs, but also it can do a number on things like Bikers that might have 3 wounds apiece, or Adeptus Custodes. More importantly, when you're attacking vehicles, say a vehicle has 9 wounds remaining, you get 3 damaging hits on it, that's 9 damage. You can basically plan your attack more readily with this weapon. So it's a very effective way of doing it. So I think both the Redemptor and the Invictor are going to be benefiting greatly from this change. Moving away from melee weapons onto more ranged weapons and attacks, we have a little look at some other leaked datasheets, such as the Hellblaster. Possibly the biggest change here is the heavy variant is going to be damage 2 as a base, which means when you overcharge, we can safely assume it's going to be damage 3. Likewise, the assault variant is going to a basic of 3 shots. The current version of the unit predominantly makes you want to choose just the rapid fire stock version, simply because that weapon is the most consistent. It has the baseline strength 7 that can go up to strength 8, and also it can be overcharged when it's doing so to be damage 2. The largest problem with Hellblasters is they have a lot of competition now. They are not going to be as useful at killing vehicles they were at the beginning of 8th edition, that's already deteriorated anyway, but also they're going to have a lot of competition from things like Eradicators. Therefore, they have to have a niche which is fairly powerful. Long range plasma fire, or rather short range but quite a lot of it, is going to be very powerful simply because it enables you to deal with a lot of 2 wound models that are going to be on the table. And in the guise of Space Marines, that is going to be a fact. So, Hellblasters might have actually regained their place back in the Space Marine army lists. Notable for not changing is the Assault Bolter and Inceptors. That is going to stay the same and therefore be very different to a Heavy Bolter, which we know, confirmed by other sources, as well as on this that you will see shortly, that Heavy Bolters are going to be 3 shots at damage 2. So Assault Bolters are generally going to be a different weapon now, very different. So yeah, I think Inceptors are going to have an interesting use. They're going to be focused predominantly on infantry, whereas their main competition would be, I'd say, Centurions and Firepower Stakes, who will have actual real Heavy Bolters, therefore will be better off suited using the damage 2 on those weapons. So yeah, I kind of like that they haven't changed just because of that aspect. I think it's quite balanced, it works quite well. Short minor change, it appears the auxiliary grenade launcher on an Intercessor squad has turned into an assault weapon, which means it can be fired in addition to the bolters, and if you're close enough you can also throw a grenade, so you essentially can use 2 grenades in one go. It also means if you have a 10-man squad, both models that might have an auxiliary grenade launcher can fire it, finally, which is a great change. I really think that was a terrible oversight. We've seen from multiple sources that flamers are going up to range 12. Well, this is going to make those aggressors pretty nasty. It's also going to make it useful on other units such as Space Marine Tactical Squads or Dreadnoughts that can have a heavy flamer underneath, which would also be range 12. So I think flamers are going to come back in a big way in this edition. And if everyone's getting up close and personal, due to the terrain rules, objectives, board control, all of these things have to be taken into account. So if people are getting that close, we're going to see a lot more flamer usage. Moving on, Heavy Bolters we know are changed. Look here on the Scouts datasheet. you can see that heavy bolters are going up to damage 3. This has a wide-ranging application to Space Marine armies. I'm actually getting giddy just thinking about it. My Predator that I love from 2nd edition, that I've lovingly painted and put into the theme of my current Space Marine army, is going to be phenomenal on the table. It's going to have a damage 3 Predator autocannon, unless that changes, and it's also going to have damage 2 heavy bolters on the sponsons. So yeah, it's not just little things like that. It expands what a tactical marine can do. It expands what Centurions are going to be like on the table. It changes a lot. I mean, it's going to make Imperial Fist quite fearsome, and I think we're all panicking about that, but that's what Obscuring Terrain's for. Avoid the Imperial Fist firepower if you can. If not, charge them with a Vanguard Veteran squad. Just a quick note, I have a feeling that Land Raiders are going to be phenomenal. A Land Raider with essentially 4 las cannons from 2 twin-linked las cannons and twin-linked heavy bolters that we know are going to be damage 2. That means you're going to have a further 6 more shots that can help you damage vehicles and heavy infantry. It's going to make the basic Land Raider very effective again, because it was often seen as a little bit confused in what it wanted to do. But now, I think with the fact that it can shoot into close combat, it can also advance up the table and disgorge its people fairly safely because of the obscuring terrain, I think it's going to have a good place. On that note, we have multi-melters. We know from the ATV Space Marine release that is coming up fairly soon from the Warhammer community article that the multi-melter is going to go to 2 shots apiece. This has quite a wide range of applications, from dreadnoughts to attack bikes to land speeders, so we know it's going to be a very effective change. We also know that melter is going to change for all types of melter units. Now, if you're within close range, you get an additional +2 to the damage roll, making it very effective. D6 +2 means it's very consistent, and you get a potential 8 damage on your roll, which is very useful, much better than 2 dice pick the highest. Lastly, but not least, I'm going to talk about the Hunter Killer Missile, as seen here on the Vindicator. Kind of wanted the Vindicator to get completely changed. It might have some special rules, perhaps, that it can fire twice, infantry or something like that, I'm not sure. But I'm not really a fan of the Vindicator as it currently stands. I don't think it's a very effective weapon. I don't think it's very useful. But anyway, that not said, this isn't what this is about. If you look at the Hunter Killer Missile, it's gone up to strength 10. That's very different. I mean, it means that it's not going to be damaging much differently against most targets, but when you fire at a toughness 8 vehicle, instead of wounded on a 4+, you're now going to be wounded on a 3+, which is very effective. It makes the very powerful Hunter Killer Missile even more useful in a wide range of situations, especially as Space Marine armies can go mechanized. Plenty of fairly cheap units that can take vehicles such as Rhinos and Razorbacks, and therefore whack a load of these on and you have a load of strength 10 missiles that are going to launch out first turn and do a load of damage. Overall, I think it's a great change for the Hunter Killer Missile, because I never really saw much point to it really. One shot at strength 8 was average, but I'd rather save the points and put it into more boys, not toys. Now, I kind of want both. Anyway, that's a quick review of what we've seen leaked to the internet. It's only covering the weapons that we've seen so far. We've speculated and assumed a little bit, and we've extrapolated with best logic and best practice. So we'll have to wait and see what actually happens going forward. We don't know what changes there will be. Each datasheet can have slight variance. There could be misprints somewhere. We don't know. But I'm fairly confident that most of these weapon changes I've talked about today are going to be the actual weapon changes that we're going to have going forward. So let me know in the comments below what you think, and I'll catch you all soon. Peace out.